Legendary Passages, Episode 52, The Kingdom of Elis. Herculean Vengeance, from Pausanias Description of Greece. Last time, we reviewed some of Heracles' deeds after his labors. This time, we focus on the Kingdom of Elis, where he was refused payment for cleansing the stables, and later launched a war of retribution. Firstly, the text reviews the origins of the people of Elis, known as the Eleans. Their first king was Aethilius, followed by his son Endymion, and then his son Epeius. Aetolus, his brother, ruled next, followed by Eleius, son of their sister Eurycyda and Poseidon, and then his son was Augeas, and his son was Phyleus. After banishing Phyleus and Heracles to avoid payment, Augeas made many friends and alliances. Moline and her husband Actor were the parents of conjoined twins Eurytus and Cteatus, accomplished warriors, but killed by Heracles. For this, their mother Moline cursed the Argives, Heracles' countrymen. After a long aside about sports, eventually Heracles sacked Elis and put Phyleus on the throne. Next time, an overview of the deeds of Heracles and his 13th labor. The Kingdom of Elis, a legendary passage, from Pausanias Description of Greece, translated by W.H.S. Jones. Elis, Mythical History. The Greeks who say that the Peloponnesus has 5, and only 5, divisions, must agree that Arcadia contains both Arcadians and Eleans, that the second division belongs to the Achaeans, and the remaining 3 to the Dorians. Of the races dwelling in the Peloponnesus, the Arcadians and the Achaeans are aborigines. When the Achaeans were driven from their land by the Dorians, they did not retire from the Peloponnesus, but they cast out the Ionians and occupied the land called of old Augeas, but now called Achaea from these Achaeans. The Arcadians, on the other hand, have from the beginning to the present time continued in possession of their own country. The rest of the Peloponnesus belongs to the immigrants. The modern Corinthians are the latest inhabitants of the Peloponnesus, and from my time to the time when they received their land from the Roman Emperor is 217 years. The Dryopians reached the Peloponnesus from Parnassus, the Dorians from Oeta. The Eleans, we know, crossed over from Calydon and Aetolia generally. Their earlier history I found to be as follows. The first to rule in this land, they say, was Aethilius, who was the son of Zeus and Protogenia, the daughter of Deucalion, and father of Endymion. The moon, they say, fell in love with this Endymion, and bore him 50 daughters. Others with great probability say that Endymion took a wife, Asterodea. Others say she was Chromia, the daughter of Etonos, the son of Amphictyon. Others again, Hyperippe, the daughter of Arcas. But all agree that Endymion begat Paeon, Epeius, Aetolus, and also a daughter, Eurycyda. Endymion set his sons to run a race at Olympia for the throne. Epeius won and obtained the kingdom, and his subjects were then named Epeans for the first time. Of his brothers, they say that Aetolus remained at home, while Paeon, vexed at his defeat, went into the farthest exile possible, that the region beyond the river Axius was named after him, Paeonia. As to the death of Endymion, people of Heraclea near Miletus do not agree with the Eleans, for while the Eleans show a tomb of Endymion, the folk of Heraclea say that he retired to Mount Latmus and give him honor, there being a shrine of Endymius on Latmus. Epeius married Anaxaro, the daughter of Coronis, and begat a daughter Hermina, but no male issue. In the reign of Epeius, the following events also occurred. Onomus was the son of Alcyon, though poets proclaimed his father to be Ares, and the common report agrees with them. But while lord of the land of Pisa, he was put down by Pelops the Lydian, who crossed over from Asia. On the death of Onomus, Pelops took possession of the land of Pisa and its bordering country, Olympia, separating it from the land of Epeius. The Eleans said that Pelops was the first to found a temple of Hermes in Peloponnesus, and to sacrifice to the god, his purpose being to avert the wrath of the god for the death of Myrtilus. Aetolus, who came to the throne after Epeius, was made to flee from Peloponnesus, because the children of Apis tried and convicted him of unintentional homicide. For Apis, the son of Jason, from Palantium in Arcadia, was run over and killed by the chariot of Aetolus at the games held in honor of his aunt. Aetolus, son of Endymion, gave to the dwellers around the Epeius their name when he fled to this part of the mainland. But the kingdom of the Epeans fell to Eleius, the son of Eurycyda, daughter of Endymion, and, believe the tale who will, of Poseidon. It was Eleius who gave the inhabitants their present name of Eleans, in place of Epeans. Eleius had a son Augeas. Those who exaggerate his glory give a turn to the name Eleius, and make Helios to be the father of Augeas. This Augeas had so many cattle and flocks of goats that actually most of his land remained untilled because of the dung of the animals. Now he persuaded Heracles to cleanse for him the land from dung, either in return for a part of Elis, or possibly for some other reward. Heracles accomplished this feat too, turning aside the stream of the Menneus into the dung. But, because Heracles had accomplished this task by cunning, without toil, Augeas refused to give him his reward, and banished Phyleus, the elder of his two sons, for objecting that he was wronging a man who had been his benefactor. He made preparations himself to resist Heracles, should he attack Elis. More particularly, he made friends with the son of Actor, and with Emerentius. Emerentius, besides being a good soldier, had a father, Epeius, of Thessalian descent, who came from Thessaly to Elis. Emerentius, therefore, Augeas also gave a share in the government of Elis. Actor and his sons had a share in the kingdom, and were natives of the country. For the father of Actor was Phorbus, son of Lapithus, and his mother was Hermina, daughter of Epeius. Actor named after her the city of Hermina, which he founded in Elis. Heracles accomplished no brilliant feat in the war with Augeas. For the sons of Actor were in the prime of courageous manhood, and always put to flight the allies under Heracles, until the Corinthians proclaimed the Isthmian truce, and the sons of Actor came as envoys to the meeting. Heracles set an ambush for them at Cleone, and murdered them. As the murder was unknown, Moline, more than any of the other children, devoted herself to detecting him. When she discovered him, the Eleans demanded satisfaction for the crime from the Argives, for at that time Heracles had his home at Tiryns. When the Argives refused them satisfaction, the Eleans, as an alternative, pressed the Corinthians entirely to exclude the Argive people from the Isthmian games. When they failed in this also, Moline is said to have laid curses on her countrymen, should they refuse to boycott the Isthmian festival. The curses of Moline are respected right down to the present day, and no athlete of Elis is wont to compete in the Isthmian games. There are two other accounts, differing from the one that I have given. According to one of them, Cypselus, the tyrant of Corinth, dedicated to Zeus a golden image at Olympia. As Cypselus died before inscribing his own name on the offering, the Corinthians asked of the Eleans to inscribe the name of Corinth on it, but they were refused. Wroth with the Eleans, they proclaimed that they must keep away from the Isthmian games. But how could the Corinthians themselves take part in the Olympic games if the Eleans, against their will, were shut out by the Corinthians from the Isthmian games? The other account is this. Phyleus, a distinguished Elean, had 2 sons, Phylanthus and Lampus, by his wife Lysippe. These 2 came to the Isthmian Games to compete in the boys' pancratium, and one of them intended to wrestle. Before they entered the ring, they were strangled or done to death in some other way by their fellow competitors. Hence the curses of Lysippe on the Eleans, should they not voluntarily keep away from the Isthmian Games. But this story, too, proves on examination to be silly. For Timon, a man of Elis, won victories in the pentathlon at the Greek Games, and at the Olympia there is even a statue of him, with an elegiac inscription giving the crowns he won, and also the reason why he secured no Isthmian victory. The inscription sets forth the reason thus. But from going to the land of Sisyphus he was hindered by a quarrel about the baleful death of the Molinids. If the proposed emendation be adopted, the meaning will be: one to compete in the boys' pancratium, the other in wrestling. Enough of my discussion of this question. Heracles afterward took Elis and sacked it, with an army he had raised of Argives, Thebans, and Arcadians. The Eleans were aided by the men of Pisa, and of Phyleus and Elis. The men of Phyleus were punished by Heracles, but his expedition against Pisa was stopped by an oracle from Delphi to this effect: "My father cares for Pisa, but to me in the hollows of Pytho." This oracle provided the salvation of Pisa. To Phyleus, Heracles gave up the land Elis and all the rest, more out of respect for Phyleus than because he wanted to do so. He allowed him to keep the prisoners, and Augeas to escape punishment. The women of Elis, it is said, seeing that their land had been deprived of its vigorous manhood, prayed to Athena that they might conceive at their first union with their husbands. Their prayer was answered, and they set up a sanctuary of Athena, surnamed Mother. Both wives and husbands were so delighted at their union that they named the place itself, where they first met, Beidi, sweet, and the river that runs thereby, Beidi water, this being a word of their native dialect. When Phyleus had returned to Dulichium after organizing the affairs of Elis, Augeas died at an advanced age, and the kingdom of Elis devolved into Agasthenes, the son of Augeas, and on Amphimachus and Thalpius. For the sons of Actor married twin sisters, the daughters of Dexanimus, who was king at Elenis. Amphimachus was born to one son, and Therinice, Thalpius to her sister Thyreophone and Eurytus. However, neither Amornicius himself nor son Diores remained common people. Incidentally, this is shown by Homer in his list of the Eleans. He makes their whole fleet to consist of 40 ships, half of them under the command of Amphimachus and Thalpius, and of the remaining 20 he puts 10 under Diores, the son of Amornicius, and 10 under Polyxenus, the son of Agasthenes. Polyxenus came back safe from Troy, and begat a son, Amphimachus. This name, I think, Polyxenus gave his son, because of his friendship with Amphimachus, the son of Cteatus, who died at Troy.